Well, good morning, everybody. How are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to this special Sunday morning edition of Front Porch Brunch, a thing we do on the weekend where we get together, we talk about the news, we let you give your views, and we try and make sense out of it all. Yes, the new intro. Yes, the intro. I tell you what, I'm starting to really dig this thing. Don't get me wrong. I was digging it when Sean from Third Railify came across the thing. And I went back and listened to it the first time. I went, that music doesn't sound right. And then I realized, well, crap, dummy, you got to mute your microphone so people can actually hear what's going on. So hopefully that was a little better. I'll go back after the live stream and check it out and make sure that it sounds good or sounds the way I think it ought to sound. And hopefully that will resolve any technical issues, or maybe better to say operator problems in my case. So how you doing out there, everybody? Glad that y'all are here this morning. And for those of you who are able to join, I'm greatly glad to have you here. If you've never been here before, apologies that I am impinging on the Almighty's time. Not that I can really impinge anyway, but you get my point. Normally we do this on a Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. And, I couldn't do it yesterday because we had a birthday party for my mother. As most of you know, Ma Trippett turned 88 years old on Wednesday. And as opposed to going out to a restaurant and her having to, get out and about, she's like, why don't we just do this thing here? And I was like, I'm fine with that. That's fine. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here. By the way, the birthday party went off wonderfully. Mom got everything she wanted. She had her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren around her. And we got to watch old videos from back in the day with my late father and other members of the family who are no longer with us. And we got to see a lot of memories and recall a lot of things that, we hadn't seen in years. So it was really a good time. When it was all said and done, I asked Ma Trippett, I was like, did you have fun? She's like, yes, but I'm tired. I was like, well, yeah, you haven't got to take your nap this afternoon. So I have a feeling when I see her today, she's going to give me an update telling me that she slept quite well. I'll be surprised if she didn't. And otherwise, I think everybody had a very, very good time. All right, let's see who's in the house this morning. WWG1's been dropping in memes all over the place, and I got every one of them, brother. We're using all of them today, so greatly, greatly appreciated. Let's see who else we have with us. Z Highness is in the house representing the 199. Good morning, my dear. Mwah. Gypsy is here. Happy brunch day indeed. Mwah. My crazy Canadian Adam is in the house. Is back with Trump deportations. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. The Duke is here. The live event countdown reminds me of the Apollo launches from the late 1960s. It's kind of got that feel to it. I think that's what Sean was going for. Greatly appreciate. Duke, glad to have you in the house this morning. Let's see who else is here. Lovely Lana is here. Mwah. Good morning, my dear. Glad to have you. Blown kisses all the way around. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? Nope, I don't think so. Okay, cool. Everybody be in the house. All right. Thank you guys so much for your graciousness in accommodating the change of schedule and for being here this morning. And hopefully we'll have a nice big crowd. And regardless of the size of the crowd, old Uncle Front Porch is going to do his thing, trying to share some laughs and some funnies for you guys and help everybody have a good time. We'll share information as we have it. Got some interesting topics to go over this morning, and we'll try and make it as fun as we possibly can. So with that, we will begin, as is our wont, with the Merry Memes section of Front Porch Brunch. And, it's amazing how in times of need, our nation comes together and we get help from places that you would otherwise never suspect. For example, the Amish. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, as you all are very much aware right now, we are in the midst of an egg shortage due to, avian flu and other things, et cetera, and so on. It's a terrible situation we find ourselves in. The price of eggs are going up. Well, the Amish have seemed to have figured out a way to combine two of America's favorite pastimes, gambling and grocery shopping. So the next time you see the Amish, you need to thank them for this wonderful little idea that they came up with. Apparently, they've now got a Powerball system where, the reward could be quite substantial. I'm telling you what, a dozen eggs is costing you quite a bit of cheddar cheese. And, you get 4 dozen eggs off an Amish Powerball. And let me tell you something, buddy, you have absolutely made your day. So there you go. There you go. No, in my house, there will be no deviled egg rationing. Thank you very much, Adam. We are not doing that. So, but yes, when next you see an Amish person, thank them for this wonderful idea. I'm just saying. So there you go. There you go, indeed. Oh, my goodness. What else do we have here? And you can thank WWG1 for this one. Sometimes you get advice about, you come to a fork in the road and, you don't quite know what to do. Should you take the path that's most traveled, or should you, as I think it was Robert Frost said, should you take the path less traveled? Well, sometimes taking that path less traveled is not exactly a good idea, because this is what could wind up happening to you. I mean, you take that road less traveled, and then you totally get lost. So the next time someone gives you that piece of advice to travel down that road less traveled, just remember, this could be what happens to you. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So there you go. All right. What else do we have here in the way of the merry memes? Yes. Yes. It's amazing sometimes how television can be truly predictive of the situations that we find ourselves in. Some years ago, apparently, our friends at the Family Guy had a very prescient question that they asked as it related to DEI, and you never would have thought that you'd get an idea about how the discussions over DEI would go by watching the Family Guy. But we have our friend WWG1 to thank for this. So with that, I'm going to pop this one up here and check it out.
Would you rather get a massage from a man or surgery from a female doctor? Wow.
Like minor surgery?
No, serious surgery, like a blown kidney or something.
Jeez.
Good question, Peter.
Is the man gay?
No.
Is the female doctor at least Jewish or Asian?
No, but actually, you know what? I'm going to take it up a notch. Hispanic female doctor or gay male masseuse?
Hispanic from Spain?
No.
Oh. So it's basically, would you rather get a massage from a gay man or die?
So just remember, folks, the next time you're watching The Family Guy, you might be on your way to discovering something very important about DEI or any other hot topic. And remember also, half of UCLA's med students fail their basic tests since the lowering of standards. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Oh, what else do we have here? Oh, yes. Never, ever, ever let it be said that we here on the Electronic Front Porch are not about trying to expand your education. I mean, look, I do my best as a host to try to bring to you as much information as I can possibly find and do it in a manner that is, humorous, amusing, and that everybody can enjoy. And with that in mind, we have started a bilingual education section of the Electronic Front Porch. Look, as we're going to be having a lot of dealings with the sovereign nation of Mexico for quite some time to come in the near future, especially with the current president that we have, we sort of thought it's very important here on the Electronic Front Porch to make sure that you, as members of Fedora Nation, if you're not familiar with the Spanish language, that you should have an opportunity to, further your education. I mean, you might wind up being in a conversation with someone someday and they drop a word on you in Spanish and you're going, I wonder what the heck that means. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we here on the Electronic Front Porch are going to make sure you always have the chance to know exactly what your Spanish friends are talking about. So with that in mind, we would like to share the first of our bilingual education sessions on Front Porch Brunch. We hope that you enjoy.
Mexican word date. Harassment. I just got a call from immigration. I got scared. They said, hey, we deported your wife. I said, man, that's great news. Harassment, nothing to me.
Oh, there you go. So when the next time a Spanish individual drops the word harassment, you can look at them and say, hey, harassment, nothing to me, deport her. There you go. Just saying. Shorty has dropped in on the Rumble side. Good morning, Shorty. TBA, I see that hand over there, brother. And yes, I see what you just dropped in. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, I have seen some of these floating around Twitter, and I'm promising you right now. Okay, I'm promising you right now that I'm going to make it a point. Anytime I come across one of these bilingual deals, you know that that I am absolutely going to drop that baby in. I'm going to drop that baby in as sure shooting, and I will do it. So there you go. All right. What the heck kind of question is that? What is this? What? A taco blender? Oh, taco bender. I don't know. Just Mexican word of the day. Hide. Walk in a Mexican good morning, Ruben. Walk in a Mexican restaurant and say, La miguera. Okay. Are you trying? Wait a minute. Is this if I express this word, am I going to get a fist fight started, or am I going to get shot, or am I going to get thrown out? I mean, which of the three is going to happen here? Okay. Get a little nervous with this advice. I'm just saying, you know. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, indeed. What are you clipping the Mexican word of the day? Okay. Okay. Oh, the staff starts running out. Well, okay. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Oh my. Okay, let's get into some news items. And I tried to put together as much as I could on some of the hot topics right now that I think need to be discussed. And I think one of them definitely needs to be discussed. And by the way, WWG1, I sent out an email this morning to the unofficial economist of the Electronic Front Porch, Dr. McCutcheon, and I'm asking her what her schedule looks like, because this story we're going to talk about is right up her alley. We're going to get into a brief discussion, or at least what we know so far, about these tariffs that have been imposed by the Trump administration on Mexico, Canada, and China. And we will also get into a discussion of the counter tariffs that Justin Trudeau has applied in response to what Trump is doing. So, you know, definitely worth some thinking about. And TBA, I saw what you put out there, my friend. So yes, we're going to get into that as well. Now, let's start with Fox News, and we will roll from there. Headline: Trump imposes tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China. Quote, national emergency. The tariffs will range anywhere from 10 to 25%. Article by Andrea Margolis, Patrick Ward of Fox News. We have the following. Dateline, Washington, D.C. The Trump administration announced on Saturday that it is imposing tariffs through its new International Emergency Economic Powers Act. President Donald Trump signed an executive order authorizing the tariffs on Saturday, which will go into effect on Tuesday, consisting of 25% additional tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and a 10% tariff on imports from China. Energy resources from Canada will have a lower 10% tariff, according to the White House. In a statement obtained by Fox News Saturday, the Trump administration said the legislation is in response to, quote, an extraordinary threat posed by illegal aliens and drugs, including deadly fentanyl, that constitutes a national emergency. Reading a little further into the article, this challenge threatens the fabric of our society, the executive order states. Gang members, smugglers, human traffickers, and illicit drugs of all kinds have poured across our borders and into our communities. Canada has played a central role in these challenges, including by failing to devote sufficient attention and resources or meaningfully coordinate with the United States law enforcement partners to effectively stem the tide of illicit drugs. In a fact sheet released by Trump officials, White House said the tariffs are meant to hold the three countries accountable for, quote, their promises of halting illegal immigration and stopping poisonous fentanyl and other drugs from flowing into our country. The move was widely criticized by foreign leaders on Saturday. In a Twitter post, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, said that, quote, he did not want this, but Canada is prepared. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said that her country, quote, categorically rejects the White House's slander against the Mexican government of having alliances with criminal organizations, as well as any intention of intervention in our territory. Quote, Mexico not only does not want fentanyl to reach the United States, but anywhere, the statement read. Therefore, if the United States wants to combat criminal groups that traffic drugs and generate violence, we must work together in an integrated manner, but always under the principles of shared responsibility, mutual trust, collaboration, and above all else, respect for sovereignty, which is not negotiable. The changes were widely expected after White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters Friday the tariffs would roll out over the weekend. On the same day, Trump told reporters the U.S. may also increase tariffs on imports from the European Union, arguing the tariffs would make the U.S., quote, very rich and very strong. Okay. Let us get into this one. It's been threatened for a little while. I shouldn't say threatened. Trump's been talking about this ever since the campaign trail. Okay. And for my part, and again, I cannot wait to get into a discussion with Robin McCutcheon about this. For my part, this to me looks like Trump is negotiating. Now, what am I talking about? I don't think this is about economics, although Trump does rightfully point out that we are running a trade deficit with Mexico and Canada, and our national debt is $36 trillion. Okay, there is an economic impact to this. But that said, okay, this is not about economics, at least on its face. To me, this is about leveraging Mexico and Canada to get them to tighten up their border. Okay. And I also think there's one other aspect to this that I'll get into here in a minute. Okay. Now, I will say this. I am a little bit bemused by the Mexicans' reaction. You know, that Mexico does not want fentanyl in the United States, which, okay, I could maybe believe Claudia Sheinbaum on that one, the president of Mexico, maybe. But the argument that says that the Mexicans are not that they're doing more than they possibly could to stop the cartels and everything else, I'm not buying that one. And if you don't believe me, I got a report here from Allie Bradley at News Nation. I think you guys are going to want to watch this. You wonder why Trump's doing what he's doing with relates to Mexico? Well, folks, check this out.
We also just got our hands on a memo out of the Rio Grande Valley sector that actually says that this is kind of crazy here, that the cartels authorize the use of weaponized drones, explosives against CBP personnel and U.S. law enforcement down there at the southern border. Now, they're actually being encouraged, of course, to remain cognizant and vigilant, but they're also being encouraged to use their long arms, Blake. I have never seen this in a CBP memo before. They say, wear your ballistic gear, yes, but they're telling them, hey, have your long arms. Yes, they are saying, watch out for these weaponized drones. We've seen a lot of infighting with two different factions of the cartel down in Tamaulipas, that is on the south side of the border in the Rio Grande Valley, and they have like an all-out war happening between these cartel factions. So they are warning now that they might be using these weaponized drones against U.S. personnel on this side. So definitely cause for concern there.
Yeah, the Mexican government sure is doing everything they possibly can to make sure the drugs are not getting across the border. They're doing everything they possibly can to make sure that that the cartels are under control. When our Custom Border and Patrol Agency has to warn its members, hey guys, they are prone to use weaponized drones. Keep your eyes open. That's not a good sign that the Mexican government has everything under control on its side of the border. Okay? I'm sorry. I don't have a problem, with what Trump is doing. However, I will say this, for the sake of being totally fair. Trump has done, I think, a very good job of explaining, in part, why he's doing this. I do have one minor criticism, and it's minor, but it's important. Trump has done a very good job of explaining, in part, why he's doing this, but not every aspect of it. Now, what am I getting at? When I say Trump's done a very good job explaining, in part, why he's doing this, all right, the justification is for national security. We've got to get control of our border. If Mexico and Canada is not going to help us do that, we're going to impose tariffs on them. Now, he's not coming out and blatantly saying it. Hey, I'm putting these tariffs on you as the stick to force you to do what you should have been doing all along anyway. But that's the unspoken message. You guys aren't helping us secure our border. We've been asking you to help us secure our border. You're not doing it. You need to help us out here. Okay? The part I don't think Trump is, as of yet, getting out in front of to explain to the American people is what the economic impact of this is going to be. And there's going to be economic impact. Okay? I've got a couple of stories here. One from the New York Times. And, you know, the Times doesn't do as good a job as the Associated Press, but I think there's some things here to pull out that ought to be talked about. Now, like I said, this one comes from the New York Times, and I'll go ahead and pop this one up on the screen. It was written yesterday, I believe. Here's what to know about Trump's tariffs. Canada, Mexico, and China account for more than a third of the products brought into the United States. Tariffs could lead to higher prices for consumers. Articles written by Danielle Kay. We've got the following. I want to go a little bit into this. And how sweeping are the tariffs? All goods imported from Canada and Mexico are subject to a 25% tariff, except Canadian energy products, which will face a 10% tariff according to the executive order. The orders also place a 10% tariff on Chinese goods. The auto and electric equipment sectors in Mexico are most exposed to disruption from sweeping tariffs, as is mineral processing in Canada, according to economists at S&P Global. In the United States, the largest risks are to farming, fishing, metal, and auto production. What should consumers expect? Some companies may try to pass on the cost to their customers by raising prices. Others may opt to eat the cost of the tariff. Companies may also try to force foreign suppliers to bear the burden by negotiating lower prices on their product. When Mr. Trump imposed the tariffs on China during his first term, economic studies found that most of those costs were passed on to American consumers, a scenario that's likely to play out once again. That could mean higher prices in the grocery aisle, at car dealerships, or at the pump. Roughly 60% of all the oil that the U.S. imports comes from Canada. Tariffs on Canadian energy, lower than other imports, could prompt an uptick in prices at the pump, especially in the Midwest, where refineries turn Canadian oil into gasoline and diesel. How long might it take for prices to rise? Consumers could see a swift uptick in prices for non-durable goods, including groceries. Most of the avocados in the United States are imported from Mexico and could become more expensive within a couple of weeks of the tariffs going into effect. Prices for cucumbers and tomatoes might spike. It could take longer for prices for durable goods like cars to rise thanks to existing inventory, or if companies expect the tariffs to be temporary. Quote, it could take a little while, but if these tariffs are here to stay, then price increases are going to come eventually, said Felix Tintelot, an associate professor of economics at Duke University. So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Companies will pass on the cost to cover. It's what they always do. Name one company that's always willing to eat costs themselves. Very true. Very, very true. Okay, I think that's a fair point as well. That's a very fair point as well. Some thoughts on this. The tariffs don't go into effect until Tuesday. There's a little bit of time here. You've got today and you've got tomorrow. If Trump is angling to get something out of the Mexicans and the Canadians, then he's still got some wiggle room to do it. And even if the tariffs go into effect, I could be wrong about this. I could be dead wrong. I'm just giving you my take. Okay. I don't see these things being long-lived. Like I said, Trump is using the tariffs for negotiating leverage. He's trying to get the Canadians and the Mexicans to help him out on border security. And apparently, if they've not been doing their job, you got to do something to get their attention. Now, I've got another article here from the Associated Press, and this one goes into a little bit more detail. It's got some information about imports from both Canada and Mexico, and I want to show you guys. So let me pop this one up on screen. Headline: Trump tariffs on Mexico and Canada could land this weekend. Here are some goods that are in the crosshairs. Article by Paul Wiseman at the Associated Press. President Donald Trump said this week tariffs on U.S. neighbors Canada and Mexico will arrive Saturday. The two nations are not only close geographically, but economically as well. Business between North American nations now exceeds China, totaling $1.8 trillion in 2023. That is far greater than the $643 billion in commerce that the U.S. did with China in the same year. The following are a few imported goods that could be hit first. Auto production. For decades, auto companies have built supply chains that cross the borders of the United States, Mexico, and Canada. More than 1 in 5 of the cars and light trucks sold in the U.S. are built in Canada or Mexico, according to the S&P Global Mobility. In 2023, the United States imports $69 billion worth of cars and light trucks from Mexico and $37 billion from Canada. Another $78 billion in auto parts came from Mexico and $20 billion from Canada. The engines in the Ford F-Series pickups and the iconic Mustang Sports Coupe come from Canada. You have engines and car seats and other things that cross the border multiple times before going into a finished vehicle, said Cato's Linsicom. You have American parts going to Mexico to be put into vehicles that are shipped back to the United States. You throw in 25% tariffs on all that, and that is a grenade. So here's a list. I'll see if I can enlarge this just a little bit. A list of top 10 imports from Mexico. Whoops. There we go. That's a little better. The biggest import are cars and trucks. Second is auto parts. Behind that is computers and accessories, oil, electrical equipment, telecom equipment, etc. And on down the line. Notice avocados, blueberries, strawberries are like near the bottom. So, there's that. Now, here's a list of items from Canada. Wait a minute. There it is. There it is. Oil and petroleum products, 108 billion. Cars and trucks, and then after that, auto parts, aluminum and bauxite, metal products, and on and on and on. Well, so Trump imposed his tariffs, and it didn't take long for the Canadians to follow after. I got a video here from Justin Trudeau, and here is his announcement in response to the Trump tariffs.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives.
Okay, so that is one response, and I've got another clip here in just a second, okay? So the Canadians are going to respond, huh? Well, somebody pointed out something, and I want to thank TBA for pointing this out. Let me pop this up here real quick for some context. Mexico and Canada are about to, and this is from Patrick Bet David, Mexico and Canada are about to F around and find out. 77% of Canada's exports go to the United States. 84% of Mexico's exports go to the United States. Okay? Both of them rely on the United States. Advice for Trudeau and Sheinbaum. Number 1, read R the Deal. Number 2, take a cold shower. Number 3, call Donald John Trump to apologize. Number 4, pray. Patrick Bet David may be onto something here. Look, when 3/4 of your exports go into the United States, and then America slaps a 25% tariff on that, or 10%, depending on what the industry is, then you got a problem on your hands. And it's a big one. Like I said, we've got one more clip here from Justin Trudeau, and then I've got a response from another leading Canadian politician. But I want you to hear all this, okay? And then we're going to get into some talking about it, okay? So here is Justin Trudeau, not talking to the Canadian people, but talking to the Americans. I want you to listen to what he's doing here, because, man, you talk about some manipulation. I give old Fidel Jr. credit here, okay? I give old Fidel credit here. So give me 1 second.
Beyond that, it will have real consequences for you, the American people. As I have consistently said, tariffs against Canada will put your jobs at risk, potentially shutting down American auto assembly plants and other manufacturing facilities. They will raise costs for you, including food at the grocery store and gas at the pump. They will impede your access to an affordable supply of vital goods crucial for U.S. security, such as nickel, potash, uranium, steel, and aluminum. They will violate the free trade agreement that the President and I, along with our Mexican partner, negotiated and signed a few years ago. But it doesn't have to be this way. As President John F. Kennedy said many years ago, geography has made us neighbors, history has made us friends, economics has made us partners, and necessity has made us allies.
Oh my God, can you believe this guy? Can you really believe this guy? Amazing. Absolutely amazing, right? Just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. hang on a minute. Yeah, true. It has. True. Hang on a second, folks. I'm going to step out and see if I can fix this camera of mine because apparently my internet connection is a little bit shaky. Do not go anywhere. I'm not leaving. I'll be right back. Okay, so hang loose. Let me see what I can do here. Be right back. I'm just leaving the studio. Okay. Okay, let's see if that fixed it. Not a problem, my dear. Like I said, I understand. I get it completely. All right. I think that may have fixed the camera, hopefully. All right. Looks like the internet connection's a little bit better, so we'll see what happens. All right. Can you believe this guy? Trudeau. I mean, seriously. He's trying to weasel out of what's about to happen here. Oh, you Americans, if you go along with this, you know what's going to happen. Your car factory. Lay aside the question of has he actually caused this to happen by the fact he's not helping the U.S. enforce the border in the north. Okay. Just absolutely crazy. Unbelievable, this guy. Now, there is one angle to this. That I think that people aren't stopping to consider. And I don't even know if Trump is deliberately doing this or if this is in the back of his mind, but it might wind up being a side effect of what Trump is doing. I've got a post here from Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservatives in Canada. And this, to me, is fairly interesting. Now, as you all know, Pierre Poilievre is the leader of the Canadian Conservative Party. And if there is an election held sometime this year, then he's probably going to wind up being the next Prime Minister of Canada. We recently had a live stream where Sean from Third Railify and a young lady who's formerly of Rebel News came on. Fantastic guests, both of them. And if they held an election right now, the Conservatives would blow out the Canadian Liberal Party. Without a doubt in anybody's mind, they would absolutely thump their rear ends. But here's a tweet from Pierre Poilievre. We must put Canada first. That is why common sense conservatives condemn President Trump's massive, unjust, and unjustified tariffs on Canada's already weak economy. Canada is the United States' closest neighbor, greatest ally, and best friend. We share the longest undefended border and fought alongside Americans in 2 world wars, Korea and Afghanistan, where 158 of our brave men and women died helping the U.S. avenge the 9/11 attacks. There is no justification whatsoever for this treatment. Hold on, Pierre. Hold on. I understand what you're doing here. But to sit there and say that this is unjustified, no, that's not the case. That's not the case at all, my friend. That's not true. Your premier or your prime minister is doing nothing or very little to help enforce our border in the north. I mean, everybody focuses on Mexico, and understandably so. There's violence, there's drugs, there's human trafficking, there's sex trafficking, there's everything else coming across the southern border. But the northern border may or may not be any better. So please don't give me that whole, No one's buying it, brother. No one is buying it. So, yeah, give it a rest, my friend. Give it a rest. But anyway, I want to read on. And again, sorry if the camera's starting to blur. The internet connection is a little shaky this morning, so apologies in advance. The Liberals must put aside, talking about the Liberal Party of Canada, the Liberals must put aside their partisan interest and recall Parliament now to pass a Canada First plan that will do the following. Number one, retaliate with dollar-for-dollar tariffs carefully aimed at maximizing impact on American companies while minimizing impact on Canadian consumers. That means targeting U.S. products that we can make ourselves, buy elsewhere, or do without. For example, we must retaliate against American steel and aluminum, as Americans can make those vital products at home. Number two, put all the tariff revenues into help for affected workers and businesses. Government should not keep a dime of that new revenue. All right, makes sense. I'm down with that. Number three, pass a massive emergency bring it home tax cut to bolster the economy, stop inflation, and save and create jobs. Canada needs a massive tax cut on work, investment, and energy, and home building and making stuff at home. The liberal carbon tax and capital gains tax hikes must be the first on the chopping block. Number four, immediately scrap the liberal anti-resource C-69 and Greenlight LNG plans, pipelines, mines, and factories, and port expansions to overseas markets. Number five, bring in truly free trade within Canada by knocking down interprovincial barriers that help replace the lost north-south trade with east-west trade and make us self-reliant. Number six, rebuild our military and take back control of our borders to regain confidence of our partners, assert our sovereignty, protect our people, and put Canada first. We will always protect our economy, defend our sovereignty, and bring home production and paychecks, and will never back down. We will put Canada first, now and always. Okay. I like this. I like this for so many different reasons. Okay. I really do. Number one, Pierre Poilievre is thinking just like Donald Trump. Okay. He really is. I like where he's going with it. I like the fact that he's thinking about Canada's interests above the U.S. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of what was in that tweet, I expect. Okay? I expect it to happen. I expect Pierre Poilievre to take the stand that he did with some of the language they used. I'm not surprised by that. Okay? What kind of gets me, and I think everybody else, and I think this is a fair assessment of him as well, Adam. Okay? I really do. Could it be, let me ask you guys this question. I'd like your take on it. Could it be that part of Trump's strategy here is to get Justin Trudeau out of office? Look, Pierre Poilievre called for something that Justin Trudeau cannot let happen right now. Okay? He can delay it for a little while. He can't stop it. Let me better say that. He can't stop it, but he can delay it. And it's this. Justin Trudeau realizes that if Parliament is called back into session, the first thing that's going to happen is a vote of no confidence on Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. That vote will pass. Okay? There's no doubt in my mind that vote will pass. When it does, an election is going to be triggered. When that happens, Justin Trudeau is gone. Oh, he might retain his seat in Parliament, but as far as being the Prime Minister of Canada, he's done. And he knows it. So the thing he's trying to do right now is delay it for time. Pierre Poilievre is like, hey, we need to get Parliament back in. We need to get Parliament. Now, he's doing it under the guise of we got to do something to respond to these Trump tariffs. Pierre Poilievre knows exactly what he's doing. He's forcing Trudeau's hand. He's like, look, you cannot do this and not have the people's legislature in Canada speaking about this, okay? Could it be, and again, this is just a thought, could it be that Donald Trump is forcing Justin Trudeau's hand and hastening his demise as the prime minister. Not through a blatant over-the-top coup, not through military action, not through anything else, but from just basic economics. Okay? Could it be that Trump, and maybe this is not where Trump is going, and maybe I'm just like, whatever, which is possible. What if Trump is forcing the demise of Trudeau? Look, he can't do anything about Claudia Sheinbaum down in Mexico, all right, for any number of different reasons. One of them is she's more recently elected, and number two, I have no idea what kind of relationship Sheinbaum has with the cartels, okay? So let's just lay aside the Mexican president for a minute. Justin Trudeau is up for election this year, okay? If Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives get their way about it, that election will take place before October. Probably take place this summer if the legislature can get back in, bring up a vote of no confidence on Trudeau, that passes, and then they're automatically headed to elections. Could it be that Trump, through economic pressure, is forcing Trudeau out? The question crosses my mind. It really does. Now, the Mexicans have announced tariffs. The Canadians have announced tariffs. The Chinese have announced tariffs. We're about to get into a tariff war. Okay. And again, I am dying to talk to Dr. McCutcheon about this. And hopefully she's watching or will be watching. So we'll hear from her in the next day or so as far as setting up a date, because I definitely want to get into this discussion. But the tariffs themselves, at least on the Canadian side, there is some good news. And I'll pop this up here for you Canadian folk. Canadian law requires a 30-day consultation before imposing counter tariffs. So for 30 days, Canadians won't be taxed into oblivion yet. This is from a gentleman named Mark Nixon. Bad news, the government prorogued until March 24th, meaning no stimulus for businesses. Why? Because reopening Parliament would trigger an election, and the Liberals would rather protect their leadership than Canadian businesses. See, they're all thinking the same thing I am. If Parliament comes back in Canada, Trudeau is going to have a vote of no confidence. If that happens, the elections are on. It's game on. They will not wait until October. They're going to happen. So, yeah. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's not. I don't know. We'll see. We will absolutely see. Now, Trump did respond on Truth Social to some of this worry about the tariffs. And I want to put this up here for you guys, and then we can talk about it. The tariff lobby, headed by the globalists and always wrong Wall Street Journal, is working hard to justify countries like Canada, Mexico, China, and too many others to name continue their decade-long ripoff of America, both with regard to trade, crime, and poisonous drugs that are allowed to so freely flow into America. Those days are over. The USA has major deficits with Canada, Mexico, and China, and almost all countries owes $36 trillion, and we're not going to be the stupid country any longer. Make your products in the U.S., and there are no tariffs. Why should the United States lose trillions of dollars in subsidizing other countries, and why should other countries pay a small fraction of the cost of what the U.S. citizens pay for drugs and pharmaceuticals, as an example? This will be the golden age of America. Will there be some pain? Yes, maybe, and then maybe not. But we will make America great again, and it'll be worth the price that must be paid. We are a country that is now being run with common sense, and the results will be spectacular. See, this is the part I wish Trump would have done a little bit better job of before he dropped these tariffs. Explain to the American people, look, there might wind up being a little bit of pain out of this. It's temporary. Just prep the American people a little bit better. I mean, I understand why you're doing it. I get that. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying messaging could have been a little bit better. But that's a minor criticism. It's very minor. It's not even really a criticism. It's just, if you're going to do something like this, prep the American people for it. Just give them a heads up. Hey, guys. Now, he gave them a heads up in part as to why he's doing it. National security, drugs across the border, tighten up the border security, all that. But you got to kind of explain to them, hey, guys, if we do this, this is what it could mean. Now, maybe Trump's absolutely right. Maybe there's little to no economic pain whatsoever. We'll see. Okay? And I also get where he's going with this. If you build your stuff in the U.S., there's no tariff. But, as someone rightly pointed out, it could take about 6 to 7 years for a U.S. factory to get up and running from a country that's building outside the U.S. right now. Yeah, and this is a good point. This is an absolutely good point. Too many people have gotten used to avoiding the short-term pain to achieve long. Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't matter if it's economics or anything else. Okay. So, yeah, we got that going on. So, we'll see. I think I get why he's doing it, and it makes perfect sense. Okay. So, let's kind of see where it goes from here. But that's where we're at. The tariffs will go into effect Tuesday at midnight, and it's game on. Now, whether the Mexicans and the Canadians want to avoid this, we'll see. But, larger point to be had, and remember this, 3/4 of Mexico and Canada's exports come here. We slap a 25% tariff on them. That's going to hurt the Canadians a whole lot more, and it's going to hurt us. And yeah, they're going to counter, but we've got a multi-trillion-dollar economy versus a smaller trillion-dollar economy with the Mexicans and the Canadians. Look, I'm not trying to see anybody inflicted with economic pain. So, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm just saying, by and large, the Canadians are going to hurt a whole lot worse. The Mexicans are going to hurt a whole lot worse than we are in this. So we'll see how long these tariffs last. But the first major tariff war of Trump's second term is now officially on. So there you go. All right. Let us move to a different compartment of the train. But before we do, let me do a real quick commercial. My name is Brian Trippett, and if you are just joining us, you have found your way to a little live stream I do on the weekend called Front Porch Brunch. We get together, we talk about the news, everybody gets to give their opinion with love and feistiness, and we try to have as much fun as we can doing it. If this is your cup of tea or your mimosa of choice or whatever you want to call it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to my channel on YouTube and on Rumble. You can find me on YouTube at Talking on the Front Porch. You can also find me on Rumble at The Front Porch Conservative. Follow, share, subscribe, leave comments, hit the thumbs up button, all that happy stuff. So yes, there you go. Help out. And by the way, YouTube is growing like a weed right now. We are almost up to 1,050. And that to me is just amazingly awesome. For folks who are just joining the channel as a subscriber, thank you ever so much. It is greatly appreciated. We're on track this year to do some really cool stuff, and I cannot thank you guys enough for being the best audience on the whole of the internet. So we are going a little concerned. We're on our way to be a going big concern. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Your guys' support and your help and the things you point out are never lost on me. So thank you so ever much from the bottom of my heart. Okay. Let us take a moment and get into a discussion of The Purge. No, not the set of movies that Tracy Barkley and I have talked about on occasion, but the supposed purge. That's what the mainstream press is calling what Donald Trump is doing at the Department of Justice and the FBI. Oh, you haven't heard about this yet? Oh, my friends, one moment. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, according to the irrelevant press, think that's what Gypsy called him recently. And if that's the case, if it was Gypsy or whomever, the title is great. I love it, by the way. The Irrelevant Press. The Irrelevant Press is calling what Donald Trump is doing over at Department of Justice and FBI. So if you haven't heard about this, we've got an article here from CBS News. Headline: FBI executives ousted and personnel under internal review as Trump DOJ fires January 6th Capitol riot prosecutors. Article by Pat Milton and Robert Laguerre. We have the following. Dateline, Washington, D.C. Justice Department leadership has directed Washington, D.C.'s top prosecutor, acting U.S. Attorney Edward Martin, to fire prosecutors who were assigned to investigate the J6 Capitol riot, according to a memo dated January 31st, reviewed by CBS News, and also confirmed by sources familiar with the matter. And in a separate memo, the Deputy Attorney General on Friday also ordered that all FBI agents who were assigned to the January 6th insurrection undergo review. Martin's directive, written by Acting Attorney General James McHenry, said the firings would be effective immediately. The memo included an appendix with names of the employees who would be fired. Some operating under the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., had been fired as term employees to carry out the sprawling January 6th probe. Had been hired as term employees. Before the presidential transition, the Biden Justice Department made them permanent employees. Oh, okay. According to the memo, their employment has, quote, hindered the ability of the D.C. U.S. Attorney to faithfully implement the agenda that the American people elected President Trump to execute. Quote, the appropriate step is to terminate these employees and to take all appropriate steps to ensure that resources allocated to their hiring and employment are available to current Justice Department leadership, the memo said. The Justice Department declined to comment. Furthermore, Acting Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Trump's former defense attorney, Emil Beauvais, has ordered the acting director of the FBI to compile a list of all current and former FBI employees who were assigned, quote, at any time to the January 6th Capitol attack investigation for review to determine whether any additional personnel actions are necessary, according to a memo reviewed by CBS News. The FBI's acting director, Brian Driscoll, sent a letter to all FBI employees in which he detailed the directive, which also included an order to fire 8 current FBI executives. As CBS previously reported, many executive assistant directors, including those who headed up the critical national security, cyber, or criminal divisions, are being forced to resign, retire, or face termination. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now, to listen to the irrelevant press, you would think that Donald Trump was like walking over, or realistically speaking, or I should say, theoretically speaking, that Trump was walking over and taking a proverbial knife and slitting people's throats inside the Justice Department and the FBI. Proverbially speaking, FBI. I'm not talking about real violence here, okay? I mean, the wailing and gnashing of teeth that is going on right now is absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous. And there's something that I need to ask the irrelevant press. Who runs the executive branch? What? Who runs the executive branch? Is it the executive or is it the bureaucracy? And I think that's a very fair question because it really gets to the heart of all this wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay? The executive branch is run by the executive. Okay? And I think everybody needs to keep this in mind. The President of the United States is the chief executive officer of the federal government. If he decides that he wants to fire people or wants them gone, guess what? He gets to do it. And the bureaucracy can scream all it wants to. Donald Trump is the President of the United States. If Donald Trump wants people fired, they're going to get fired. Remember, and by the way, I want you guys to think back, if you can, for those of you who are seasoned enough in this audience, think back to 1992, okay? One of the first things Bill Clinton did when he came in, he fired every one of George Herbert Walker Bush's U.S. attorneys all around the country. Just gone. Okay? Yeah, WWG1 brings up a really good point over on Rumble. Remember the air traffic controllers in the 80s? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Reagan fired them all for being in violation of the terms of contract. And the terms were they're not allowed to strike. They tried to strike. Reagan ordered them back. They didn't come back in the timelines. He said, okay, you're fired. And by the way, good morning, Zippy, and good morning, Sean from Third Railify. Glad to have you gents here with us. Appreciate it. But yeah, Donald Trump runs the executive branch. For better or worse, right or wrong, good decisions, bad decisions, guess what? The executive branch answers to him. He doesn't answer to the executive branch. If Donald Trump wants people at the Justice Department fired, guess what? He gets to fire them. If Donald Trump wants people at the FBI fired, guess what? He gets to fire them. Let the American people determine whether his actions are right or wrong, and then let them take that out at the ballot box. Okay? It's just that simple. It is just that simple. Yes, exactly. Trump is the executive branch. The executive branch works for him. WWG1 says it would be an honor to be fired by Donald Trump. You know, I never want to lose my job, but you know what? I'm kind of like you, WWG1. If Donald Trump fired me, it'd probably make me a better person. Sean, I muted my mic this morning, so hopefully it shouldn't have done that, but I'm going to go back and check. But it shouldn't have done that this morning. But, I will go back and double check, but I muted my mic when the intro was running this morning. So if it's still doing it, then we'll talk about that. Oh, you did check. Okay, it is still doubling it up? Okay, we'll talk. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. But yeah, Donald Trump is the executive branch. He's the executive. He's the president. He wants them fired. Guess what? He gets to fire them. But to listen to the press, oh my God, Trump's enacting retribution. Oh my God. Oh, shut up. Shut up. Donald Trump can remove them if he so chooses. Okay? Guess what? That is his right to do it. Quit your belly aching. WWG1 says some of them could use a little retribution. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, what's to argue here? I mean, what is this argument? I mean, look, regardless of whether it be Donald Trump or any other president of the United States, there needs to be a serious conversation had in this country. Who is the government run by? Is the government run by the president and the Congress, or is it run by the bureaucracy and the deep state? Which you could say the bureaucracy and the deep state are the same thing, but I do make a distinction. Okay. The government is supposed to be run by us, not by the apparatus. Now, I know I'm making a point and being a little bit pedantic about it, and I apologize, but this point needs to be made, and it needs to be enforced, and it needs to be driven home. The chief executive officer of the federal government of the United States gets to decide who works for the federal government and who doesn't work for the federal government. Period. End of discussion. It's over. The argument's done. Now, if he or she fires someone without just cause, then let the American people make a determination about the rightness or the wrongness of that action. Period. Okay? But I'm tired. I mean, and I love the way you put this. The whinging. I'm tired of this. I really am. And yes, there will come a day when a Democrat president will fire people who have done nothing wrong, who are conservatives, and I will say, you know what? I don't like it, but guess what? He or she gets the right to do it. Now, doesn't mean that their actions shouldn't be examined, the motivation shouldn't be questioned, but guess what? They get the right to do it. But I'm already sick and tired of this. I really am. And then you get stories like this from NBC. Look at this. Talking about needs to stop their whinging. Well, they're not going to stop their whinging. And they're not going to put on their big boy or big girl knickers and get over it. But watch this. From NBC, senior FBI official forcefully resisted Trump administration firings. Brian Driscoll, acting FBI director and head of the Bureau's Newark field office, pushed back so aggressively that some feared he might be dismissed. Who wrote this piece of crap? Ken Delanian, Tom Winter, Jonathan Denst, and Ryan J. Riley. Acting FBI Director Brian Driscoll on Friday refused a Justice Department order that he assist in the firing of agents involved in the January 6 riots, pushing back so forcefully that some FBI officials feared he would be dismissed. Multiple current and former FBI officials told NBC News. The Justice Department ultimately did not dismiss Driscoll, the head of the Bureau's Newark field office, who is temporarily serving as acting director. Oh my God. Somebody, can we nominate NBC for a drama award? Can we nominate NBC News for an Emmy? I mean, seriously. I mean, just unbelievable. He forcefully resisted Donald Trump's directive. I don't give a flip if he forcefully resisted or he resisted like a wet noodle. He's wrong. The president gets to decide who works for the federal government, not the other way around. The federal government does not get to decide who works for the federal government. Yeah, I think this is true too. Because Trump made some big mistakes. WWG1 says, when your McNuggets are cold, who do you blame? The cook, the assembler, or the manager? They all are, because they're all supposed to work as a team. True. I'll give you that to an extent. But at some point, when the McNuggets are cold more than once and the manager decides to get rid of the cook or the assembler, then that's justified action. If the manager keeps letting the McNuggets be cold and consistently, then you got a problem of not only the cook and the assembler, but you got a problem with the manager. But, you know, that's just my side thoughts on the matter. Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, okay, so we're on the same page with this. Thank you, WWG1. Yeah, I mean, look, Trump did learn a lot from his first term. And one of them is you don't let people hang around who are going to put a hatchet into you every time your back is turned. And these people don't put knives. They're going to put a hatchet right in the middle of his shoulder blades. So better to get rid of them before they can get rid of you. And that's really what this comes down to. There are some, I mean, look, the CBS News article made a very valid point. Some of these people who were hired over Department of Justice were hired for a term. And then at the end of the Biden administration, Biden's like, well, let's see if we can just slip them in there and make them permanent. Trump's like, oh, heck no, you're not doing that to me. Yeah, and you know what? This is a really good point, Gypsy, and I want to talk about this for a second. If Trump had gotten an immediate second term, it would have been wishy-washy. Yeah, I really think, and I'm not the only one to make this point, by the way, but I think it's valid. I really do think that Donald Trump having the election of 2020 stolen from him, I really do think it did more to battle harden him than if he had just rolled into a second term. Would he have still tried to get his goals accomplished? Yeah. Would he have still tried to do all the things that he wanted to do? Yeah. Would he do them with the same measure of force? No. I think it took a combination of things to make Trump what he is right now. Having the 2020 election stolen, the raid on Mar-a-Lago, where they went through not only his personal items, but the items of his wife and his son, Barron. And then, as Sean rightfully points out, two other things. Being arrested and having a mugshot taken, and then finally an assassination attempt. It took all that to get Donald Trump to where he is right now. And to me, and you guys are free to disagree with me on this if you want to me, the capper to it was the assassination attempt. I think that's when Donald Trump, I think he knew how bad it was. I don't think he realized until they tried to take his life what the stakes of the game were. It's only when they try, let me rephrase this. Let me be very careful here. It was only when an assassination attempt was made on him and he survived it did he realize the stakes of this game are life and death. And if I don't play hard and fast, then I'm not only going to survive, the country's not going to survive. I really do. I think there were a whole bunch of things, and I think Gypsy's absolutely right. And this is another good point too from Lana. The citizens needed to feel the difference. They went through short-term pain. Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah, an awakening is probably the right word for it. Very true, ladies. I agree with both of those points. I really do. WWG1 says, I want to know whose drawers they sniffed, Melania's or Barron's. Okay, that's just, I don't want to, no sniffing of drawers. No sniffing of drawers. Yeah, I mean, I think the stakes now for Trump are so high, you're going to see him go like a bull in a china shop, which for the first 2 weeks, the things he have done so far are extraordinary. And I don't think the press can keep up with him. I don't think the Democrats can keep up with him. It's amazing to watch. The cabinet officials fight next week is going to be hand-to-hand combat. RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel. I'm not saying they're the last fights Trump's going to have, but if he can get them across the finish line, all three of them, then yeah. we're in good shape. We're in real good shape. So yeah, it's going. And by the way, there's some shaky people. Todd Young of Indiana, Cassidy of Louisiana, on RFK especially, but Todd Young is getting shaky on Tulsi Gabbard and others. So keep your eyes and ears open next week, folks, especially on the nominations of those three. But yeah, Donald Trump realizes the stakes are extraordinarily high. He will go like a bull in a china shop for the next 4 years. You're going to see a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth from the press and from establishment Washington. So guys, just get ready. I mean, like I said, these are the kind of headlines that you're going to see from the press. It's going to be stuff like this for the next 4 years. People are resisting. People are standing up. They're taking it to the streets, as Hakeem Jeffries so ill-advisedly put it the other day. So yeah, much is going on, my friends. Much is going on. And I say it's good. Okay. We're gonna, what time is it? 11:45? Okay. Yeah, we're doing pretty good as far as pace. We're gonna shift gears real quick, or I should say change cars in the train, and give some updates as it relates to oh yeah. Oh, I saw that. Oh God. Because he's a weenie. That's why. He's a weenie. Promised everybody we're going to vote through other weekends until we get these done. Well, then where are you, buddy? Ugh. Yeah, that's a good line too, Adam. That's a really good one. Oh my goodness. Crazy indeed. Okay, quick updates as it relates to the crash at the Potomac and also the one on Philadelphia. That one Friday. I mean, I haven't got a lot lined up about the Philadelphia crash. That was just, I'm still trying to make out what happened. Well, I think I know, but the video to it was just extraordinary. Let's talk about the Philadelphia plane crash for a second. And like I said, I haven't necessarily got anything lined up by way of articles or anything else. I just want to talk about it for a minute, if it's all right with you guys. I don't know. I mean, I think I know what happened, but I can't prove it. Plane takes off, and then no more than 3 miles from the airport, then the thing goes nosedives straight down. WWG1's got on the audio, you can hear plainly, quote, "You effed with the wrong people" coming from the plane. Are you talking about the plane in Philadelphia? WWG1, are you talking about the audio off the Philadelphia? Really? Oh wow. No, like I said, I haven't had a chance to dive into that one yet. I saw, like, on Friday night, I was helping set up for the party at my mom's place. So, I mean, I have not seen much in the way of news articles or news stories yet. But yeah, if you can find that, let me see it, because I want to hear that. Because if that's the case, and I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way, but if that's the case, then there is something really going on here. Something very weird. So, okay, while you're looking for that, let me ask you one other question, or if somebody else knows this, so I don't totally distract WWG1 here. Have they already recovered the black box off that plane, and that's how they found it, or they heard that from the tower? Somebody at tower control heard that, or how did they hear that? Okay, hang on. WWG1 just gave me a link here. Give me a second, folks. Holy cow. I didn't think we were going to get into this, but you know what? I'll go down this rabbit hole because this is interesting. Okay. Let me enlarge this just a little bit for everybody's benefit. Okay, let's get into this. And WWG1, I want to thank you for this. Okay, so from the tower they heard this. Okay, all right, let's see what we got here. From Red State Nation, they're effing with the wrong people. Shocking audio from Philly plane crash raises big questions. Article by Ray Pearson. So this is from Dateline yesterday. In the aftermath of the tragic Lear 55 crash in Philadelphia on January 31st, air traffic control audio has surfaced, providing insight into the final moments before the disaster. The medical transport jet, operated by Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, was transporting a young patient, her mother, and 4 crew members when it crashed shortly after takeoff, resulting in the loss of all 6 individuals on board. The ATC recordings, air traffic control, obtained by Northeast Philadelphia Airport Tower, capture routine communications during the jet's departure. Okay, that's normal. Controllers clear the flight for takeoff, normal, and initial exchanges between the pilot and the air traffic control appear standard. Approximately 2 minutes after takeoff, the tower attempted to reestablish contact with the aircraft, but received no response. Okay, that's weird. Shortly thereafter, the jet crashed into a residential neighborhood, causing a massive explosion. Notably, some listeners have reported hearing a voice in the recording stating, quote, "They are effing with the wrong people" at the 57-second mark, followed by an exclamation of "boom" at 106. These utterances have led to speculation about their origin and their context. Moreover, it's important to approach such interpretations with caution, as audio recordings can sometimes capture background noises or unrelated communications that may be misinterpreted. Okay, fair point. The NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, has initiated an investigation into the crash aimed at determining the cause of the accident. Preliminary analysis suggests potential factors such as mechanical failure or a sudden loss of lift during takeoff. The ATC audio will be a crucial component of the investigation, providing insights into the aircraft's final communications and any anomalies that may have occurred. As the investigation progresses, authorities will continue to analyze all available data, including flight records, maintenance history, and eyewitness accounts, to piece together the events leading up to this tragic event. Aviation community and the public await further information. For those interested, here is... All right. Hang on.
Medevac, med service 056 on departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 25010.
Okay.
Medevac, med service 056 affirmative. On departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff.
All right, all this sounds normal so far.
Medevac, med service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8. 123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you, good day. Medevac med service 056 Northeast Tower. Contact Philly 123.8. Medevac med service Northeast Tower. Medevac med service 056 Northeast Tower. You on frequency?
Okay, now it sounds like they've lost communication at this point. And we're at the 45-second mark, so in about 12 more seconds, supposedly we're going to hear this thing.
Medevac Mike Tango Sierra 056 Northeast Tower. How do you hear this transmission? Medevac med service 056 Northeast Tower. Fifty-six 098 Foxtrot Northeast Ground Roger. Stand by one. I'll get back to you when I can.
Hang on, I'm backing this up for a second. All right, we're at the 50-second mark. Go.
056 Northeast Tower.
Okay, I can faintly hear what they're saying in the background. Someone is saying they effed around with the wrong people. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I heard it too. I heard it too. It's faint. It's in the background. It's not real loud, but you can hear it. And my question is, what happened at about probably hang on a minute.
56 contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra, 056 medevac. Thank you, good day.
Okay, at the 30-second mark, they lost communications with the flight. What I want to know, what happened in that 32 seconds that the pilot is not communicating with the tower? Because something's going on. And then, like I said, you get to the 57-second mark. I'm going to back that up one more time.
Back med service 056 Northeast Tower. You on frequency?
Medevac Mike Tango Sierra 056 Northeast Tower. How do you hear this transmission?
Medevac med service 056 Northeast Tower.
Oh, there's something going on here. Well, we don't know yet. WWG1 says, happy to add a little conspiracy to the program. I don't think this falls under the realm of conspiracy, my friend. I really don't. Okay, I have 3 questions on the basis of what you just dropped in. And this is just us talking, okay? Number 1, who was the pilot of the airplane? That's the first thing I want to know. Number 2, why was there like a 30-second blackout from the communications between the tower and the airplane? Because you heard them. The plane responded to instructions from tower, and you could hear the pilot responding to him. Okay. And then number 3, who was the one? That they effed around with the wrong people. Okay. Was that communication from the airplane? And if so, who said it? The pilot? The co-pilot? WWG1 says, according to the manifest, the pilot and the co-pilot were Mexicans. They were handing off from tower to another frequency. It sounded like the airplane to me. Okay, you're a pilot. I'm going to take you at your word. Sound too faint to be from the pilot. Okay, so it might be the co-pilot then. Might be the co-pilot. Sound was too faint to be from the pilot. Okay. Yeah, among other tragedies. Or WG1 says it could be from a guy in the back. That's possible. That's possible too. Yeah, because I was watching. Like I said, I was at my mom's Friday evening helping to get ready for the party. And that plane, it just came straight down. Just like boom. The one shot that I saw was, from somebody's dash cam. They're in their car, they're driving along this thoroughfare, and the thing you see in front of them is just boom. It's like a missile coming down. Which to me makes me wonder, was it some kind of, I will say this. Well, Sean, go out to Fox News. because I mean, because they had first people on scene were a local Fox affiliate up there, and then Fox, their national desk picked it up. But the way that plane was coming down, it looked like, I agree with this. It looks just like somebody, like a straight down missile was trying to like come down. I mean, if they find the black box in that plane, it'll be a miracle. Because, it was just, the angle was like, boom, straight down. Which to me, my first reaction was, well, okay, mechanical failure, maybe a bolt or a rod or something you seized up, forced the flaps into a position. Maybe you couldn't pull out of it. I don't know. That was just my first reaction. Oh yeah. The angle was just downright scary. I agree. Totally. Sean's from Third Rail Files. It seems like they didn't even want to try to survive. Now, I don't know about that, but again, if the air traffic control tower's audio is correct, if this was coming from the flight, like I said, I want to know who the pilot was. I want to know who the pilot was. I want to know why there was a 30-second gap in communications. And I want to know if that last part about they effed around with the wrong people, I want to know if that transmission actually came from the plane. Oh yeah. Oh, Sean, if you can find this one, there's a video of a restaurant in Philly, right near the crash site. There's a piece of debris that from the plane that came flying through the windows, hit this older gentleman in the head, and you can see him falling out of the booth that he's sitting. The poor fellow is just falling over. I don't know if it knocked him out or not, but I mean, you can just see the piece of whatever it is just take the hat right off his head. And no, he was not wearing a fedora, by the way, but he should have been. But yeah, I mean. Oh, okay. All right. WG1 says, you also have someone saying, boom, you didn't get to that part of the audio yet. All right. Hang on. I'll back it up a few seconds and put it back up there. Give me 1 second. All right. We're back to about the 45-second mark. Here we go.
Medevac Med Tango Sierra 056 Northeast Tower. How do you hear this transmission?
Medevac Med Service 056 Northeast Tower. Turkey 60908 Foxtrot Northeast Ground, Roger. Stand by one. I'll get back to you.
You can hear him in the background. Boom! Back that up. Hang on.
Turkey 60908 Foxtrot Northeast Ground, Roger. Stand by one.
Okay, now that sounds like that boom sounds like it came from like tower communications. Yeah. You can clearly someone in the background said boom. That to me and again, for what it's worth, that sounds like that came from inside the tower. Somebody saw it go down and went, oh, boom. Obviously not the most appropriate response, but yeah, you get where they're coming from. Yeah, just crazy. Just crazy with this. So yeah, okay. WWG1, thank you. I mean, I think I speak safely for everybody here in the audience, but thank you, because that. Okay, so according to the tower, they did not see it go down. Okay, then what the heck was that? That's crazy. Well, now I've got a fourth question. Who said boom? Too far. Okay, too far. Yeah, you're right. It would be 3 miles away. They wouldn't have seen it go down. Okay. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Was that the last word of someone in the airplane? Boom? Okay, so the tower just saw it drop off radar. Okay. All right. No, I have not seen that one. I have not seen that. Okay, so boom came from the plane. I agree with. Well, okay. If it didn't come from the tower, then it would have had to have come from the plane. All right, man, we got more questions than answers. You know what? There's a lot of people to feel sorry for in this, the victims and everybody. But man, the Secretary of Transportation, Duffy, man, that poor cat hadn't been on the job for 3 or 4 days yet, and he's dealing with all this. What a way to start your job. Just crazy. So WWG1, thank you for that from Red State Nation. I appreciate that. Oh, not man, WWG1, I hope you're wrong about that. I hope you're wrong. He says air crashes come in threes. God, I hope you're wrong. I really do. Yeah, now this is absolutely true. If the black box on that Learjet survived, yeah, we need that right now. Because I want to know what the heck this is. I want to know what this is. Because this is just crazy. Just absolutely crazy. Because this makes no sense. Well, with that, we were going to do an update about the crash out there by Reagan National Airport. Because there's some funny things going on there, too, that nobody... Oh, there were 3 crashes. You're right. I forgot about the Alaska crash. That was crazy, too. Alaska, D.C., and Philly. Well, hopefully that's it. Good grief. I can't take much more of this. Anyway, here we got some updates as it relates to the crash out by Reagan National Airport near the Potomac River. I mean, obviously, no survivors. We do know that they have recovered the black box recorder from the Black Hawk. So there's that. That's good news. National Transportation Safety Board's recovered the flight black box from the downed Black Hawk that appears to be undamaged, board member Todd Inman said. Yesterday, NTSB has recovered a flight recorder in good condition from the accident, though it will not be releasing information from that device immediately. The cockpit voice recorder was recovered in contrast and had what's called water intrusion, a problem that investigators are now dealing with, but they have a very high level of confidence that they will get information from the device, Inman said. Air traffic control has been conducting interviews with relevant witnesses today and will continue those interviews throughout tonight and into the coming days. Barges are en route to Virginia Beach to assist in the salvage operation. This was written 2 days ago, so this would have been Friday. WWG1 says, I don't believe the headline military aircraft don't have black boxes for good reasons, so the enemy cannot get a hold of it. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, there is one question that I've got, and this, let me just say some things up front. There's something that I don't quite understand as it relates to what happened out at Reagan National Airport. And I'm not trying to get political here. I'm not trying to put on a conspiracy theory hat or anything of the sort. Okay. However, and WWG1, you're a pilot, so, feel free to chime in on this if you got something. But there's some questions that I have. Okay. There were 3 individuals on board the Black Hawk. Okay. 2 of them, names were immediately released. Now, apparently, we now know the name of the 3rd person. And according to reports, it is Captain Rebecca Lobach. She had worked at the White House as an aide in the Biden administration. Okay. All right, fair enough. But there was something initially a little bit unusual, and this is from the UK Guardian. And this is from a couple of days ago, which would have been Friday. Earlier on Friday, the Army released the names of two of the soldiers who were on board the Black Hawk that collided with a commercial airliner near Reagan Airport Wednesday night. But the Army did not immediately release the name of the third soldier who died on the helicopter, which we now know to be Rebecca Lobach, saying it was withholding the name at the family's request. The New York Times called the choice not to release the third soldier's name an extraordinary step and highly unusual, noting that, quote, typically, the names of service members killed during a peacetime accident or in combat zones are made public about 24 hours after their relatives have been notified. The New York Times and other outlets have reported that the third not yet identified soldier is a woman. On Thursday, 6 ABC Action News and other outlets cited an official person, Jonathan Koziol, a retired Army chief warrant officer, who described the Black Hawk helicopter crew as a very experienced group of pilots. Koziol confirmed to reporters on a conference call that the male instructor had over 1,000 hours of flight time. The female pilot, who was commanding the flight at the time, had more than 500 hours of flight time, and the crew chief was also said to have hundreds of hours of flight time, 6 ABC Action News reported. Black Hawk crew was on a routine nighttime qualification flight, an annual exam in which an instructor pilot tests the other pilot's skills in navigating the Washington area, Koziol told the news outlets. Okay. All right. I got some questions. And again, not trying to be political, not trying to be conspiratorial. I'm just asking questions here, okay? Number one, why was there a delay in releasing the name of Rebecca Lobach? Sean asked the question, wasn't the pilot a radical anti-Trump trans? That was initially reported, but turned out to be not true. So, got that going on. What's up, Midmo? Good to have you in the audience this morning. Appreciate it. Why was the name not released with the other two individuals who were on the Black Hawk? And again, I can respect that the family, wants some time to grieve. I can understand that. But normal policy is after the family's notified, the name is released about 24 hours later. Okay, well, if that's standard operating procedure in these situations, why was there a delay in putting out her name? Okay. Next question, and take this for what it's worth. This is from the Gateway Pundit. Here's something a little more unusual. On Saturday, the U.S. Army released the name of the pilot of the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter that flew into a passenger jet at Reagan National Airport. Crash was on Wednesday. The third pilot's name, Rebecca Lobach, was finally released Saturday, 3 days later. Kristen Taylor at the Gateway Pundit reported the following. After withholding, at the request of the family, the name of the female pilot killed in the mid-air collision, the Army issued a statement Saturday afternoon from her family identifying the pilot, 28-year-old Rebecca Lobach from Durham, North Carolina. The two other soldiers killed in the crash previously identified were Staff Sergeant Ryan Austin O'Hara, 28, from Lilburn, Georgia, and Chief Warrant Officer 2 Andrew Lloyd Eves, 39, from Great Mills, Maryland. Lobach was part of a 3-man crew flying a training mission for continuity of government down the Potomac River when the collision occurred, killing all 3 crew members on the Black Hawk based at nearby Fort Belvoir, Virginia, and all 60 passengers and 4 crew members on the flight out of Wichita, Kansas. And here are some pictures of Lobach. Lobach had over 450 hours of flying experience, recently served as a military social aide at the Biden White House. It took the U.S. Army and Rebecca's family 3 days to scrub her social media accounts. They really don't want the public to know anything about this female pilot. Okay. So supposedly, this young lady, Miss Lobach, had her social media scrubbed. And again, take it for what it's worth. But if that's the case, why? Is it the family doing that? Is it somebody else doing it? Again, not trying to put on a conspiracy hat, not trying to necessarily get political. If that is true, it's a little bit unusual. Maybe the family did it. Maybe they're like, look, we don't want people going digging around. And I can kind of understand that. Maybe if that's the case, fine. But just, I don't know, man. This just feels weird. Very weird indeed. Now, talking about Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, he did release the following the other day, and I think this is not exactly a bad idea, all things being equal. Effective immediately, the Department of Transportation will no longer participate in celebrations based on immutable traits or any other identity-based observances. These distractions do nothing to keep planes in the air, trains on the tracks, or ports and highways secure. In the wake of 2 devastating plane crashes, my focus is singular, enforcing the highest standards of safety and accountability. From now on, every day of every month, we celebrate transportation, beautiful infrastructure, and safety. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a real good idea. And frankly, that ought to be the only focus of anybody working under the umbrella of the Department of Transportation. WWG1 says, for future, you may want to dust off that conspiracy hat. I have got something coming. I have got a tinfoil hat coming. Y'all think I'm kidding about this. You guys have seen my fedora collection. Well, guys, a new member of the collection is coming. So, just saying. Lana says, it looks sus as F to do that, while the family could have reasons not staying those reasons. It makes it look fishy. That is true. That is very true. TBA says, do you have merch now? No, I do not. I do not have merch. I would love at some point to get into that, but you know, bless y'all's hearts. I don't want to put you guys to any extra expense, and I don't really know quite in the way of what kind of merch I ought to have yet. I hadn't really thought about that far down the line, but I'd love if I could find some kind of a deal with a fedora manufacturer to give you guys like a good discount and still get myself a reasonable profit margin out of it. I would love to do that. I think that would be cool. I have not a problem whatsoever with the idea of having merch, but I would love to cut a deal with a fedora manufacturer for men's and women's, by the way, for men's and women's. But I think that'd be really cool. Yes, there is a tinfoil fedora incoming. So, yes, it's going to happen in the near future. So keep your eyes open. We might get into a conspiracy theory discussion one of these days. You know, you can sell knockoff fedoras made in Thailand. Now, WWG1, how am I going to help out my fellow Americans? How am I going to help out my fellow Americans and the whole Made in America, America First movement if I'm selling knockoff fedoras made in Thailand? Then we're going to get into discussions of, you know, I'm using slave labor and all that stuff. I do not need that. No, no. There you go. Goodness me. Goodness. Well, okay. Thank you. I would appreciate that. Yeah, Mexico is too expensive now. Well, yeah, I can't use the Mexicans to make my fedoras, so there you go. There you go. Anyway, so that's what we've got right now by way of updates on the 2 plane crashes. And again, WWG1, thank you for that from redstatenation.com. That was a very interesting article indeed. Very interesting. Okay. It's about 20 minutes after 10. Let me do a couple of HodgePodge stew items, and let me do a real quick commercial first before I get to those. Oh, good point. Okay. If you have happened on this live stream and you have sat through some of our recent musings, first of all, thank you for being here on a Sunday morning or now Sunday afternoon. Second of all, you have happened upon Front Porch Brunch. This is a live stream we do on the weekends where we get together and hang out and talk about what's going on in the news. If you like this sort of thing and you're enjoying what you're hearing and seeing, do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel on YouTube and Rumble. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and leave some comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Share the link around. Do all that crazy stuff that you guys do. Yes, and WWG1, thank you for the Rumble chat for being here this Sunday. It is definitely appreciated. So all is greatly appreciated by all of you guys doing what you do to help my little channel grow. And we are growing. And it is a lot of fun to do what I'm doing. It's tough sometimes, but it's a lot of fun and it's very rewarding in its own way. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, my wonderful audience. All right, HodgePodge 2. Got a clip that I got a hold of this morning from the Stephen A. Smith show. And I give Stephen A. Smith a lot of credit. Don't get me wrong, I don't always agree with Stephen A. Smith, be it his sports takes, which he's primarily known for, or his political takes, okay? But there are moments that we do find common agreement, and he had the actor Rob Lowe, who is a lifelong resident of California, and also I think he's a good egg. I wouldn't agree with Rob Lowe on everything. I doubt he would agree with me on everything, but I think he's a good egg. And they were having a discussion because Rob Lowe has a house in Malibu, or maybe it's better to say had a house in Malibu. And they got into some interesting commentary, particularly from Rob Lowe's side. And I think you guys would want to hear this. So I came across this one this morning. I thought I'd throw it in for HodgePodge too. Listen to this and check this out.
I've lived in Southern California since 1976. One of my first memories of moving to Malibu, which has burned many, many times and burned in this fire, was looking up and seeing the gigantic fire roads that were cut into the mountains. They're gone.
Wow.
They haven't cut fire roads into the mountains, and you'd have to ask the policymakers, but they're not there anymore. And you can just look at it. Where are the fire roads? They're not there. They used to be there. No, we used to ride our bikes on them, BMX on them. They were great.
Yeah.
So, the chickens have come home to roost. What I'm about to say is true. There were people lighting fireworks 4 or 5 times a month, right where that stopped. The Palisades community would report it. The Palisades have 1 policeman. One.
What?
And when they go, 1. New Year's Eve, the fireworks were set off again. It lit off a brush fire of about an acre. They put it out. But the working theory I'm hearing is that it wasn't fully put out, that maybe those embers blew in the wind. But my point being, Stephen, is at some point when you cut and cut and cut and you change policy and you don't listen to experts, the chickens are going to come home to roost, and they have.
We all know the kind of politics the state of California has leaned towards for many, many years. And we see a new president in office and how he came to California, and he went right at the mayor of Los Angeles and Karen Bass. He didn't pull any punches in terms of how he talks about the governor, Gavin Newsom. And for the first time in many, many years, if not my lifetime, I feel a shift taking place where you got Californians that they look like they're sick and tired of this. Like this was like the last straw, as far as I could say, as far as I could tell. And it looks like there's the possibility of change coming to the state in that regard.
Okay, I want to talk about some of this for a second. Yeah, and I hear y'all. I hear y'all. Sean's like, he's such a tard. Okay, I grant you. But let's just talk about what Rob Lowe was saying for a second, okay? He can remember as a kid fire roads being built into the mountains in and around Malibu, okay? Which I mean, look, without knowing exactly, I can just see what he's talking about. I can see exactly what he's talking about. You take a bulldozer and you make basically a dirt road wide enough that if a fire does break loose, when it gets to the edge of that dirt, it cuts it off, or at least slows it down enough you can get there with water and whatever else. And by Rob Lowe's own admission, they haven't done that in California in years. So you got that going on. You got people setting off fireworks, possibly in violation of city or county ordinance, which, all right, you can argue whether that's right or wrong. That's fine. But you've got one police officer, one police officer, according to Rob Lowe, that covers the Pacific Palisades area. That is not enough manpower. Okay. So let's just take Rob Lowe at his word. Let's just assume he's right. One police officer to cover the whole of the Pacific Palisades area. Okay. It's like I said, and I've been saying about this whole tragedy that happened out there for days and weeks now. Are there going to be wildfires out in the California area? Yeah. Should they have gotten as bad as what they have gotten now? Nope. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. There are things that the city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, the state of California could have done to absolutely reduce the amount of damage that was done because of these fires. Arson, you cannot get around. That's something that nobody can plan for, okay? But most everything else, you could have done something about it, Los Angeles or California, and you didn't. Don't get me wrong, I am very sympathetic to the people who have lost their homes and their possessions, and God forbid, loved ones. But by the same token, y'all put this in. What'd you expect? And maybe Stephen A. Smith is right. Maybe there's a change coming. I don't know. You know. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you on this. And WWG1, I saw your comment too. It's tough to prepare when DEI weapons are used. Just saying. Anyway, saw that and thought you guys might be interested. Well, the post-mortem. Here's another one for you, by the way, a HodgePodge do. And this one I absolutely loved. The Ragin' Cajun, James Carville, was recently on a show that used to be hosted by the legendary William F. Buckley. Now is hosted by a young lady named Margaret Hoover. I'd never heard of her before. Carville was on there with Mike Murphy. Mike Murphy's a very famous Republican consultant who's, I won't say he's semi-retired, but not quite as prominent as he once was. And Margaret Hoover and James Carville and Mike Murphy are having a discussion about the 2024 election. And Carville brought up a fascinating set of points. And you know what? Carville's not endearing himself to any of his brethren in the Democrat Party, but you know what? As bad as I hate to say it, they need to listen to him. Not that I really want them to. I want the Democrats to stay out in the wilderness. But they would be wise to listen to him. So just for your amusement, I thought you guys might want to hear some of this. So here is James Carville and Mike Murphy on Firing Line, hosted by Margaret Hoover.
We ran a presidential election. If we were playing a Super Bowl, we started our 7th string quarterback. That's what happened. Okay, you can't address a problem unless you're honest about a problem. And none of this was inevitable. Now, if you were to put the staggering talent that exists in today's Democratic Party, you heard what I said?
Okay, let's not get totally out of control here, James. You were doing good up to that point, but let's continue.
The staggering talent that exists in today's Democratic Party, and people would have seen that. They'd have gone, I didn't know they had people like that can actually complete a sentence, okay, that actually can know how to frame a message, that actually have a sense of accomplishment of doing something. We would have excited people, and we would have had people from the middle of the country, we would have had people from the coast, we'd have been diverse, and then when you do that, that's how people get involved in politics. We have not had an inspirational presidential candidate since 2012.
And
that's a problem.
When you have a primary and a contest like the playoff, you get a big winner, and that credentials the nominee. They earn it. James suggested earlier, and I was 1,000% for this. We can have a short primary here instead of anointing somebody. And I got called to like a secret meeting with a bunch of senior White House people after the terrible Biden debate with some other non-Trump, Trump opposing Republicans. And I said, this Carville thing is right. Go to a minute. Let Whitmer go beat somebody, or if Kamala's that good, let her beat somebody to make her somebody, not just an appointment. She was nominated on a telephone conference call.
And you know what? Both Carville and Murphy are absolutely right. I mean, I know it's real easy to look back on it now and say, yeah, this guy was right, this guy was wrong, yada, yada, yada. But my goodness, how true they were. Really, how true they were. Just thinning out some stuff, folks. Give me 1 second here. They're absolutely right. Although, like I said, I think Carville making the statement, oh, the incredible talent in the Democrat Party. All right, James, let's just cool it a little bit here, okay? But he's right. He's absolutely right. It's just amazing to me. Just amazing. Oh, God. Funny you should bring that up, Gypsy, because you know what? I could probably find some clips real quick. Give me 1 second here. We're doing it live. We're doing it live, folks. Yeah, I saw some of those clips, and just these people are absolutely lost their minds. Ever loving lost their minds. Good God. I mean, these people are awful. Oh, yeah. Give me a second here. I found one of them. I just found it. Give me one moment. I was going to get into a discussion of the new Democrat chairman. So they elected a new chairman and a new vice chairman. And I got one clip here from having to re-vote on somebody. They're not sending their best and their brightest to the Democrat Party, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want some proof of that, oh God, y'all got to watch this.
Rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer,
the heck is that?
The non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced.
What the? And the Democrat Party wonders why the American people want nothing to do with them? Really? Anyway, back to the clip.
With the results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must elect one male, one female, and one person of any gender.
The heck are you talking about?
So again, this is what we have to do for this vice chair race. We have to elect one male, one female, and one person of any gender.
What do you mean one person of any gender? What the hell are you talking about?
To ensure our process accounts for male, female, and non-binary candidates, we conferred with our RBC co-chair, our LGBT caucus co-chair, and others to ensure that the process is inclusive and meets the gender balance requirements in our rules. To do this, our process will be slightly different than the one outlined to you earlier this week, but I hope you will see that in practice it is simple and transparent. The order of balloting is designed to ensure equal access to the ballot, regardless of gender identity. As we must elect a candidate of any gender as well as one male and one female vice chair, we will first ask members to elect a candidate of any gender on the first ballot. Any candidate, male, female, and non-binary, can be elected on that ballot. After a candidate is elected on the first ballot, we'll have one officer of the three. So then we will know which position is filled of the one male, one female, and one vice chair of any gender. Our second ballot would also be for a candidate of any gender. Then our third ballot will be the third position that is remaining based on the two results. Either a male candidate if a candidate that is not male has not been elected, or a female candidate if a female has not been elected.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a skit. This is not a parody. This is not something from Saturday Night Live. Yeah, that's a great question. How? How do you say this crap with a straight face? The hell is the matter with you people? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Ruben, I want to say something to you. Dude, you are absolutely right about this. I'm serious. They don't get it. They still don't get it. They don't understand. They don't know why they lost. They really don't. I saw a great article, and I recommend it to you. It was out on Real Clear Politics this morning. It was written by Rahm Emanuel, former congressman, former chief of staff under Barack Obama, former ambassador to Japan. He wrote a great article, wound up being in the Washington Post. But my goodness, he made a statement. He said the Democrats do not understand the broader issues that are going on in the country, and they won't speak to them. They'll talk about kitchen table issues as narrowly defined in areas of economics, but the broader cultural stuff, they won't get near it. And it's killing them. And to a certain extent, I think Rahm Emanuel is absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I don't like Rahm Emanuel politically, but I don't disagree with him. He's starting to understand. But Ruben, I think you're absolutely on to something here, my friend. If the Democrats don't wake up and realize how far off the reservation they've gotten, they're never going to win another election. Never. Oh, yeah. I totally agree with you, Atlanta. Oh, Lord, no. Oh, yeah, I heard about it, but I have not watched it. But this is what I'm saying. These people don't understand why they've lost. They don't get it. And you know, this goes back to something I've been saying for the longest time now. Until the Democrats have somebody in the Democrat Party that can pull them back to the center, they're going to be out in the wilderness for years. They're at that stage right now. If I may use a historical analogy, they're at that stage right now that the Democrat Party was after getting their butts kicked in the '88 campaign between George Herbert Walker Bush and Michael Dukakis. Having run McGovern in 72, Mondale in 84, Dukakis in 88, they're out in the wilderness. Now, what pulled them back were some, quote, centrist Democrats and centrist Democrat policies and policy makers in the late 80s and the early 90s. And then you wound up, with a little bit of luck on their part with Bill Clinton. But there is nobody in the Democrat Party anymore that can pull them back to the center, not at the national level. These people are so far gone. It might take them years, assuming the Republicans aren't stupid, which, that's not necessarily a bad bet. But I'm telling you, if what we just watched is any evidence of what we're about to get, oh my Lord. My Lord indeed. All right, a couple more quick things on HodgePodge stew. We'll hop out of here. Did you guys see the mayor of Philadelphia? And this was earlier, okay? Did you see the mayor of Philadelphia leading the city in an Eagles chant? This is just too funny. And you wonder why the Democrat Party is anyway, check this out.
Let me hear you all say E-L-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
Yeah, she knew she screwed that one up. Oh boy indeed. All right, this one I'm probably going to wind up having a clip after the fact because YouTube will appropriately tag me for this one, but this one's just too funny. And I got to thank WWG1 for this one. Illegal immigrants are being exported out of the United States and all over the world. And some wag somewhere put together a song most appropriate for the situation. And yeah, I think you're going to get a kick out of this. So this runs about 50 seconds. And like I said, I know YouTube's going to give me grief for this one, but it's just too good. So I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I do. Like I said, I'm going to get in trouble with YouTube for that one, but that was worth it. Anyway. Okay, let's bring this train into the station. Thank you guys so much for being here for Front Porch Brunch. And, really? Hang on a minute. What's this? Did anyone else realize DC plane crash, plane from Kansas, then Philly crash, and Super Bowl in New Orleans? Interesting. Did not. I think I'd heard that the other day, but yeah. Thank you, Gypsy. I'd forgotten about that one. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here for Front Porch Brunch. We'll be back this week with videos. We'll be back with, I'll be on Tracy's channel Wednesday, and we're going to do something a little on the lighter side. Last week, Gene Hackman celebrated his 90th birthday, and I think 95th may have been. Anyway, But we're going to do a lighter sort of thing on her channel next Wednesday, top 10 Gene Hackman movies. So come over to Gen X Marks the Spot, 6 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday night. I'll be back with videos. I'm trying to get some interviews lined up. So as soon as we got those locked in, we'll let you guys know. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. And again, awesome time to have you. Remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall. It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, more money. Anyway, you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll catch up with you soon. Talk to you later.